Hi, guys, and welcome to Drive to School Chat, where we discuss a subtopic in geography on the way to school. Now, today we are going to be talking about changing places, and this is going to be one of several episodes where we will be talking about the topic. And today's topic will be an introduction to changing places, and more specifically, and in line with the specification, we will be talking about the nature and characteristics of place. Now, another thing that I'd like to mention here as well is that when it comes to some of the terminology and keywords that are used when studying places, they are very important because they will help us when answering 4-mark questions. And then also, whatever we are going to be talking about today is also going to be important in answering some of the 6-mark questions as well. So, for example, if we are talking about 4-mark questions, you may be asked to distinguish between or say what the differences between location and place are, for example, or the difference between space and place. Or you could even be asked to talk about or to discuss the importance of place to human experience. And in fact, I think that is a question that has been asked in a previous examination. Or you may be asked to talk about what a sense of place means. So what we're going to be discussing will be important for those 4 and 6-mark questions. Okay, so let's get started then. Now, if then we are talking about place, then it's important for us, first of all, to distinguish between space and place, and also talk about how the approach to studying geography and studying places has changed over time. Now, in the 1950s and 1960s, a positivist approach was used to study geography. And a positivist approach is one that studied places as locations. So it studied places in terms of objective facts, or it focused a lot more on objective facts. So, for example, the longitude and latitude of that place, for example, or of that location, and obviously that would be the coordinates of that place or the compass points of that place. So that obviously is not necessarily telling us too much about that place, but is just giving us the location of the place. And that was not enough in terms of studying a place geographically. In fact, I have had students, ask me why we no longer try to memorize and to remember names of countries. And that is because the approach with which we study places in geography has actually changed. So in the 1960s then, on the 1970s rather, the approach actually changed now from a positivist approach to a humanist approach. And the humanist approach now studies places with emotion attached to it. So that then gives those places meaning. And those places now become, they are studied in the context of having people that live in them, people that experience them and develop emotional attachment to the place or connections to the place. Now, that also gives those people a sense of place. Now, let me give an example just to clarify what the difference between space and place is. Now, and I like giving this example when I'm teaching my students, and it's about if you are moving into a new house. Now, if you're moving to a new house, you obviously are going to have, say a bedroom that you're going to stay in or to sleep in. And when you initially go into that house, that bedroom is just likely to be a space. So to you, it's just an empty space at the time, and it does not have any, you do not have any emotional attachment to it at that particular time. And that is because you've not lived there and you have not even made a mark on that space. But then after a while, obviously, as you move your things in, you put your table there that you used to study in the evening. You put a computer there. You put your gaming equipment there if you do some gaming. You have a wardrobe that you have put in there. You have your clothing that you have put in there. You have a bed, and you have a lot of furniture now that is invested, that belongs to you, that is in that space. And because you have made it your own space, it eventually now has a sentimental, now have a sentimental attachment or emotional attachment to it. And now it ceases being just a space, but becomes a place to you. A place is therefore an area that is experienced with emotional and sentimental attachment to it. In other words, a person has developed a connection to that place. So the humanist approach brought meaning into place such that it is an area that is experienced by humans and that is likely to change over time. And because of those changes, the human experience or the lived experience, which we shall be talking about later on, is also likely to change. Now, I'll give you a very quick example here. Now, if we are talking about a place like Stratford, now, Stratford has changed due to a number of, processes that have taken place. We could actually talk about them in terms of human processes that have taken place. So initially, Stratford grew because of the process of industrialization. So it had a lot of industry. So industrialization took place. And then apart from that, industrialization rather led to urbanization. That urbanization then in turn led to the place growing pretty rapidly. However, after a while, Stratford experienced deindustrialization. Now, during all those changes, the human experience and the lived experience in Stratford actually changed. So, for example, due to industrialization, some people felt that they could no longer live in Stratford. So suburbanization and counter-urbanization took place, where people moved away from Stratford to the suburbs and others actually moved to the countryside. So those were changes in the human experience of that place, which is Stratford, that led to these other changes taking place. But we also do know that there were decisions that were made later on that then caused some kind of urban renewal, but we'll get to that in a minute. Right. Now, the next thing then we want to talk about, so first of all, let's just do a very quick recap on what we have done. We've talked about the positivist approach, which is where areas are studied without any emotional attachment to them. Then we've also talked about a humanist approach, which is where areas or places are studied as places that have meaning. So the next thing that we need to talk about is why we study place in geography. And the first reason why we actually study place is because it gives people identity. Now, if people live in a particular area, or if somebody lives in a particular area, they are likely to get their identity from that area. Now, that identity could be linked to the culture in that area. It could be linked to the religion in that area, for example. So that culture or that religion will then give that person a sense of identity. And then on top of that, that person will also develop social connections within that place. And because of that, those social connections, they will now have not just a sense of belonging on its own, but they will be a part of a larger community. So they will have that sense of community as well. And obviously now they have identity and community within that place, which then leads to belonging to that place. So that will make their attachment to that place even more, because now they have a sense of belonging to that place. It is the place where they live, it is the place that they are attached to, and it is the place where they find meaning, they find a sense of purpose, they have identity, and they have connections to the community. So that's the first reason why we study place. The second reason why we study place in geography is because it helps us to understand the interactions in those places or places in the world at a much deeper level. We begin to understand the social, the cultural, and the political changes that happen in those places, and how those changes affect or influence the people who live in those places. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples. If we are talking about social change, for example, we can talk about the society changing in the place that we mentioned earlier, which was Stratford. We can talk about Stratford changing due to industrialization, for example. So more people moving into Stratford. So the population of Stratford beginning to increase. Now, obviously, there were people living there in Stratford before the industrialization process took place. So they will see the place will change because it will obviously have a lot more people now due to industrialization. So the change might either be positive or negative to them. It may be positive because there are more jobs available, so they may have a better job as a result. The value of their homes may increase, for example. But then also they might begin to experience the place negatively because they may see a lot of social changes. It may become a little noisier than it was before. Crime may increase in the area. So obviously that place now is changing socially as a result of the process of industrialization that has taken place. And we could go through the list of things that would change in the human experience as we talk through the other processes. If we talked about deindustrialization, and then we eventually now talk about urban renewal or regeneration or gentrification and so on, then that is a social aspect, obviously. Then we can also talk about the cultural aspect. The culture of the place will change. Because if you have more people coming into the place, into a place, that those people may have different cultures, and now the place will have a lot more cultural diversity. So the place will change, and the way it's experienced will also change. What about politically? Now, political change may come as a result of government decisions that may be made in a place, for example. Now, again, if we talk about Stratford, we could talk about the government decision to regenerate Stratford and by bringing the Olympics to Stratford. So that was a government decision to have the Olympics being held in Stratford, and as a result, conduct a very comprehensive regeneration project that would completely change and rebrand Stratford, and therefore meaning that the way Stratford is experienced after the Olympics is completely different to the experience before. So by studying places, by using the humanist approach to studying place, then we are now understanding those places at a much deeper level and not just at a surface level where we are just looking at the coordinates or the location of the place without any meaning to the place. Okay, so let's move on then to perception of place. Now, perception of place refers to how people view or regard a place. And that obviously is influenced by several things. And it can be influenced, first of all, by either just personal things or internal things, or what you could call external factors as well. Now, one of the things that will influence a person's perception of place is their personal experience of that particular place. Now, that personal experience may also vary in terms of the age of that person, well, with regards to the age of that particular person, the ethnicity of that particular person, and so on. So, for example, if we are talking about a high street, for example, so that city center or high street may be experienced differently by people of different ages. A teenager or a young person, for example, may find that particular city center quite exciting because there are a lot of things that they can do and experience. However, a person that is a little older may find it a little more intimidating. So, for example, if there are a lot of people around, they may feel uncomfortable. If there are a lot of vehicles around and they find navigating through that particular area difficult because it's really, really busy, and there's a lot of fast moving traffic around, then it may be intimidating to them. So it will be experienced differently by different people. And therefore, the way people perceive it will be different. So the young person will perceive that place as being exciting. And then the person who is a little older may perceive that place as being intimidating or too busy, for example. The other thing that is important here to mention is that the perception of place can also be influenced by media. Now, media obviously will portray a particular image of a place, and that is likely to shape the perception that people have of that place. And therefore, perception of place is never really neutral. And that is because it can be influenced by several factors. And if we are talking media, then that influence may be fairly subjective. In other words, media is likely to be to have a particular agenda, for example, and may portray an area that has positive aspects to it in a negative light, and vice versa, where they are portraying an area that has negative aspects in a very positive light. Now, this obviously we are talking about both mainstream and social media. Okay, so let's move on to representation of place. Now, representation of place is the way a place is portrayed. So, what kind of image is given about a place? Now, obviously, representation of place is likely to impact the perception of place. So, just like we've mentioned, the representation of, the representation of a place on media, that media is a way of representing that place, because a place will be represented either, say, on the newspaper, through art, through the internet, by social media influencers and so on. So that representation will then shape the kind of perception or the views, the thought patterns we have regarding that particular place. So representation of place is really important in determining what perception people have of that place. And that's a question you could be asked about, where you're asked to explain the difference between the perception of place and the representation of place. And those are things that you could discuss in a 4-mark question, for example. Now, why is this important then? The representation and the representation of place, rather. Now, in the 6-mark questions, you're likely to be given questions that where you're asked to analyze a particular resource. And that resource may be a resource that is giving a particular representation of an area. So it may be a piece of art on an area, or it may be a poem on an area, or lyrics of a song of an area. Now, those three representations are obviously done by an individual or different individuals in this case, because it's three different representations. There's the art, there's the lyrics from a song, and there's also the poem. So let's say that those are three different people. Now, those three people may be trying to give a representation of the same area, for example. However, the way they represent that area may be different. And that obviously now brings bias into it. And if you are given a 6 marker where you are asked to analyze the usefulness of a resource like that one, for example, when answering that 6-mark question that has asked you about the usefulness of that particular resource, it will be very important, for example, to talk about what is in the resource that gives you information about that place that that person is representing. So what kind of information do you get about the place? What kind of feeling do you have as a result of the information that has been presented to you? They could talk about, say, things that have happened in that place. They could talk about an industrial period in that place, for example. And that obviously would be, in a way, useful, because it's telling you about the past of that place, or how that place was in the past. And then the person might also talk about the changes that have taken place within the lyrics of that song, for example. So it may provide a kind of a journey through the way that place has evolved over time. But then you may also want to discuss another side of that. You may want to talk about the fact that the way that particular person has represented that place may also have some kind of bias. So that bias obviously will then have given you a particular perspective of that place that is maybe one-sided. Maybe there is a perspective that they have missed. So what we are studying in place right now, or what we have studied in place today, about changing places today, is really useful when it comes to answering those 6-mark questions that ask you to analyze the usefulness of a resource that is giving us information about changing places, or that is representing a place. Okay, thank you very much for joining me on this Drive to School chats and on this journey towards excellent exam results. I hope that you have found this Drive to School chat useful. If there is something that you think I may have missed, or something that you would like me to discuss further on what we have talked about this morning, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will be sure to cover it in another Drive to School chat. All the best, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.